Hello everybody. Hope you're all doing well. I hit the wrong screen at first. I can't remember why I have this one, so let me move it away in my thing here so I don't go accidentally click it again. Yeah, I had the wrong... I clicked the wrong scene because I'm a dumbass. But yeah. Yeah. How you doing, everybody? Hope everything's going well. We are back today with more Labyrinth of Grisaia. If that wasn't obvious. We're just gonna continue on from, well, exactly where we left off. Recap of what happened last time. We went through Yuji's time in the Marine boot camp. And how his instructor, his primary instructor there, had it out for him because he had associations with Asako. It's like, he's Asako's pupil, so I'm gonna take extra special attention to you kind of thing. Basically just giving her an excuse to beat the crap out of him. It was just going through the routine of them just trying to get through their training with not getting their literal asses beat every time. We are also introduced to another character besides good old Danny Boy. Yeah, besides good old Danny Boy, was forced to become Yuji's buddy and partner throughout this entire thing. We're also introduced to a character named Millie, a girl who calls herself an idiot, thought she was great at marksmanship, was shown up by Yuji, tried to prove her superiority, failed in that, and has now just completely fallen in love with him. Because of course she has. No matter how many times he says, no, I don't love you, I don't know, go away, she still keeps coming back, and apparently they still keep fucking. So, yeah, they keep fucking. Rumors he also fucked their captain, the one who's been beating the shit out of him. Which, wouldn't be surprised, everybody wants the Kazumi cock, apparently. And then they were assigned to a true, actual combat posting, which they were on their way to via boat. They're actually on a battleship for quite a while. And we were introduced to a fucking literal weeaboo, who everyone thought was invincible or immortal, but no, he was just crying out "little sister" in Japanese, and everyone thought it was him saying immortal. Yeah. That's all I can really say about it. Just a what the fuck. Just a what the fuck. First and foremost, content warning. Labyrinth of Grisaia deals with some very heavy topics and situations. If at any moment you feel uncomfortable watching and need to walk away or close the stream, please do so. We all understand. So, just wanted to make that, clear again. Whew. What the hell? Feels weird. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna continue on and see how far this gets us today. When we last left off, we were well over 60% of the way through his route for Yuji's entire backstory, which is actually awesome. We're through a majority of it now. We're more or less just kind of trying to race to the finish, and then we can do the after stories and the side stories. We'll see how this all goes. Oh my god. I am sorry. I went to bed late last night and then was up multiple times throughout the night. Wasn't great, so I might be yawning a lot more than usual, so I apologize for that in advance. So let's just load this up and hopefully this kind of helps get me going a little more. I got my tea, I've got my game, I've got my chat. I think we're good to go. So here we go.
Hey, Shorty! Miro yo, dekai tori ga iru ze. Aria kuenno ga?
God damn it, Danny. Who knows? Doesn't look poisonous, at least.
よし、とりあえずぶっ殺して持って帰るか。そんで隊員に食わせて様子見ようぜ。
Cut it out. You're just gonna waste bullets. Let me do it, Danny. I intended this nothing more than a little test. My mental state was relatively stable by now, compared to before. I had grown up a little. I wanted to believe that I'd developed something of an immunity to the effects of killing a living thing. Don't hesitate. The more you wait, the harder it gets to take the shot. Pull the trigger before you have time to hesitate. It was something I'd been practicing to do for years by this point. Oh, shit. And so, before I had a chance to regret it, my bullet found its way to the target.
よっしゃ、命中。さすがだな、ショーティ。
たかだか80メートルじゃん。ジーニーなら目を閉じてても当たるっつの。ねえ、ジーニー。
Goddamn Millie, calling us Genie because I don't misunderstanding how his name was written. She's also again an idiot. Oh no! Even if you shot it, he's still gonna have a mini panic attack now, isn't he?
ジーニー。ジーニー、どうしたのよ。
There we go. You get me retching. Physically pulling a trigger is one thing. Coping with it psychologically is something else. The military doctor who examined me issued a tentative diagnosis of PTSD. Long story short, it was related to the extreme external stress I'd gone through in the past. I wanted to believe that my symptoms were improving, but if I reacted this strongly to shooting a bird, it was difficult to imagine what might happen if I fired at a human being. What exactly was the military expecting to accomplish with a ridiculous crew like this? Perhaps that was the wrong question. What if they weren't expecting anything at all? Seemed possible they just wanted to toss a bunch of worthless bums into the fire to spare themselves the expense of feeding us. But maybe I was reading too much into things. So you guys should be hearing it. Yes, good. In any case, throwing an undersupplied jumble of defective personnel into the middle of a messy conflict didn't strike me as a particularly brilliant strategy. We had no experience with actual combat to this point. Our first indirect glimpse of the real thing would come 4 days after our landing. The long tunnel in front of us was a crucial part of our force's supply route. We were scheduled to make our way to a forward operating base and supply depot a little beyond, where we'd join up with our newly formed unit. There was no choice but to pass through. The crucial nature of this particular supply route made it an attractive target to the enemy, and because of its sheer length, it was difficult for our forces to protect. By the time we arrived at the tunnel, a battle had already come to an end. A number of transport vehicles were stopped on the road near the entrance. As we approached, we saw that it had partially collapsed, blocking traffic entirely. This kind of trouble seemed to be a common occurrence here. A number of combat engineers had gathered around and were already in the process of manually clearing the dirt-clogged entrance. God damn. And while they're sitting there waiting for this to be, cleared out, they're sitting ducks for a potential counterattack. A secondary offensive, you never know. You never know, it can happen. That depends if the enemy actually has, the manpower to launch another attack so quickly. Our orders were to join with our regiment as soon as humanly possible without participating in combat, even if we encountered it. That meant getting down from the transport truck and passing through this tunnel on foot. Fortunately enough, a soft skin dispatched from the regiment was apparently waiting on the other side. So we strapped on all our personal equipment, climbed off our transport, and made our way toward the tunnel. Yes, they're apparently organizing a unit at the base just past here. There's probably bodies littered all inside, isn't there? Alright. A number of people had presumably died in combat inside this tunnel. The smell of blood hung thickly in the air. Turning on our shoulder-mounted flashlights, we clambered carefully inside. When I reached out to steady myself against the interior wall, I found it was faintly tinged with heat. Either we'd used napalm in here, or an enemy bomb had gone off. The wall still hadn't cooled completely. Yeah, this is a fresh battle zone. With the smell of blood and the heat trapped in the air, it almost felt like we were walking through a giant living thing. Danny's voice echoed against the tunnel walls, betraying a slight uneasiness. There was only one thing to do, of course. Go forward. He was asking how we should position ourselves. There's only 4 of us right now, and the tunnel isn't that wide. 1 point man should be plenty, don't you think?
Oh
god, fucking Robbie. Leave it to me. The beams of our shoulder-mounted flashlights revealed many corpses as we passed through that tunnel. Few of them were still recognizably human. Yeah, you're right. Look too closely, and you wouldn't be able to help thinking. I don't want to end up that way. I don't want to die like that. Those sorts of thoughts can make you freeze up at a critical moment. It had happened to me before. I had killed plenty of people by now. My father, my mother, even people whose names I didn't know. I no longer felt particularly anxious about the way my own life would end. It seemed pretty obvious that I'd be dying an equally violent death sooner or later. Okay, so they made it to the end of the tunnel. Cool. In the midst of a sudden downpour, we reported our arrival to the S1 at the battalion HQ within the forward operating base, then rested in the barracks. Until an unexpected surprise arrived to greet us. I swear to God, if it is Captain Agnes again. Oh. Oh, hi, Eddie. How you doing, buddy? You okay? You managed to keep going. Good. Even though we falsified your records, but still, you're still in the Marine Corps. Sending all your money to your mom. Eddie? I'd have recognized Edward Walker's mountain-sized body and oddly agreeable face anywhere. And honestly, I felt more than a little relieved to see him. Can't say I was expecting to run into you here. Some coincidence, huh? We just arrived, and stop talking so respectfully, alright? We're the same rank, and I'm younger than you. Hmm? Really? I mean, I always try to address people the way they want to be addressed. Anyway, good to see you again, come on. As always, the man was serious and honest to a fault. But just as I'd been happy to see Eddie's face, I was relieved to learn he was also part of our platoon. A platoon in the field was essentially the same as a squad during training. A small family of Marines. Compared to being thrown into a group of strangers, having a few somewhat familiar faces around would make it easier to fit in. Leaving the Central Company barracks, we followed the paved road that led to platoon housing under Eddie's guidance, peppering him with questions as we went. Yeah, how long has Eddie been here? That's a good question. How long has Eddie been here? Clearly things have been going all right for him if he hasn't ended up dead yet, so thank God. I liked Eddie. I got endeared to Eddie. This dude joined the Marines to get money to send back to his mom to help out with her failing farm. He's a good guy. I hope nothing bad happens to him. But knowing this game, something terrible is gonna happen to him. Always does, right?
自分もまだここへ来て2週間だ。初めて実戦に参加したのも先週のことで、正直よく分かっていないことの方が多いんだ。
Hey, he survived his first battle. That's good. That's good.
戦ったのなら敵のことぐらいは分かったんだろ。強いのか。
残念ながら自分は敵の姿すら見ていない。夜中にドーンとでかい音がしたかと思ったらもう戦闘が始まっていた。一応自分も戦闘には参加したが、配置について敵を待ち受けるうちに敵の姿も見る前に2時間が経って戦闘は終わっていた。
Okay, so he wasn't in the middle of wasn't actually in active combat. He was the fighting was happening. It wasn't happening with him involved. Okay.
夜中に少人数でHに攻め込んでくるなんてゲリラの連中だろ。火力と鉄量に物言わせりゃちょろいだろ。
Millie, look at Vietnam. That didn't go over so well.
そういう物量主義が戦争を長引かせるんだよ。ニューギニアやサイパンの日本軍は本当にしぶとかった。わずか50人足らずの日本兵が5万人ものアメリカ兵を翻弄した事実をアメリカは忘れちゃいけない。ゲリラには兵にはない信念というものがある。そしてその信念の源たる尊宝の象徴が彼らを無敵の兵として動かす。
If you fucking say If you fucking say Bushido or something like that, I swear to God.
妹であり、それこそが妹コントロールだってか。ぶっ殺すぞクソだ。
Hey Yuzuri! 彼女は君たちの国の宝を軽くディスってるぞ。言わせておいていいのか。
Little sisters are not Japan's greatest national trait. Oh my God, this fucking weeaboo.
違うよ、全然違うんだよジーニー。むしろディスってるのはこいつだよ。わかるよね、お兄ちゃん。
You fucking did not just call him Oni-chan. Oh my God, Amelia's head over heels. Don't call me that. You're older than me, for crying out loud.
まあそれはともかくとして、先週の敵襲で8名の戦死者が出た。ここは万年人手不足だからあんたらを歓迎するよ。
歓迎されるのはありがたいが、俺たちの小隊長ってのは誰になるんだ。
小隊長はジャスティン・マイク・マイヤー少尉だ。
Okay, you know Japanese devs made this. They got the last name Mike Meyer. Fucking Mike Meyer.
ジャスティンときたか。気に食わねえ名前だぜ。
マイク・マイヤーか。ステーキハウスのマイヤーズ思い出すな。なんだかうまそうな名前だ。
No, Millie, you can't eat your lieutenant.
ああ、それは正解だ。データによると我らが小隊長ジャスティン・マイク・マイヤー少尉は全米に展開する大手ステーキハウスチェーンニューヨークステーキマイヤーズの御曹司だそうだよ。
Oh, okay.
ジャスティンな上にブルジョワかよ。とことん気に入らねえぜ。
それは偏見だよダニエル。小隊長殿は少しほんの少しだけ変わっているが実に素晴らしい人物だ。
まあ金持ちなんて連中は大体が変人だ。心から楽しそうに歌って踊りながらこれを拷問するタイプか。
彼は志願兵だ。除隊後の大学奨学金が目当てだったり経済的に貧しい階層の人間でもないのに志願した勇気は称賛すべきだ。
Okay.
ああ、それは確かに。それは賢い人間のすることじゃないね。
Oh my god.
名は体を表すじゃないけれど、まさに名に恥じぬジャスティンというわけか。僕は英雄の下で働くのは嫌だな。
英雄にもちょろくて扱いやすいタイプと心底面倒なタイプがいるぞ。ミスタージャスティスはどっちのタイプだ？
彼自身はその名前をあまり気に入っていないようだし、傍から見ても彼は正義感ってわけでもなさそうだけどな。
Anyway, is that all that's unusual about him?
彼は戦闘工兵小隊付けの軍医だったが、隊が彼を残して全滅してしまったのが原因で、
Oh.
今回の混成小隊の隊長になったらしい。
So he's the surviving member of a squad of engineers. Now he's in charge of everyone. Ooh. Yeah, they're desperate. He's a doctor. He's basically a military doctor now in charge of a combat unit. That's how desperate they are. I guess he's the highest ranking here.
小隊長が軍医って珍しくないか？
Yep. A little unusual. Well, it wouldn't happen in my country, at least. Is there some reason behind that?
隊長本人は S1 の連中に押し付けられたと言ってるが、今は特に士官の数が足りていないらしい。
Yep.
まあ、あとは本人に直接会って確かめてくれ。
I don't know why this is exactly, but for some reason, the military seems to attract a lot of eccentrics. If you look at it from another angle, I guess it's probably just that normal people aren't really cut out to be soldiers. I was well aware that I wasn't a remotely ordinary human being myself, and the people around me certainly weren't either. In other words, hearing that my new commanding officer was a bit strange didn't elicit much of a response from me. Apart from a disinterested, good to know. But at the same time, I did find myself feeling a small bit of gratitude toward the Navy for its broad-minded acceptance of the less conventional members of society.
はい、そんなわけでね、海兵隊遠征打撃軍第 15MEU B 中隊所属特別行動小隊、通称イランコ小隊へようこそ。
Huh? Sir? You're Mike Meyer. You're Lieutenant Mike Meyer, huh? I don't know how they let you get away with that haircut, but okay. Also, really? The unwanted kids platoon? Fuck.
私こそは当小隊の小隊長、ジャスティン・マイクマイヤー軍医少尉だ。10年来の親友のように J で構わないよ。イランコ小隊？気に入らんかね。野戦地で臨時招集された混成小隊だからね。実はまだ名前が決まっていないんだ。さて、どう説明したものかと言葉に窮するところだが、まあ最初が肝心だ。正直かつ率直に話そう。君たちは君ら中学校は出ているんだっけ？だったらサマーキャンプは知っているかな？夏休みになると仲良し同士で班を組んで、ベテラン面が鼻につくインストラクターの指導のもと野外教室に参加するあれのことだ。
I know what a summer camp is. For God's sake. I know what a summer camp is, for Christ's sake.
まともに学校行ってたやつなら今ここにはいねえだろ。
確かに。まいったぞ。どう説明すればいい？つまりあれだよ。好きな子で集まってグループを作れと言われた時、必ず余っちゃう子ってクラスに何人かいるよね。
Yep.
つまり君たちはその寄せ集めなんだよ。
なんだか昔の嫌なことを思い出して発作的に何かを破壊したくなってくる話だね。
Oh, go sit in the corner and play with yourself, buddy. That's all you're good for right now.
車泥棒のチンピラ、バーのトイレで稼いでいたビッチ、二次元しか愛せない自己愛が強すぎるオタク。
That's Millie's backstory. Oh my, okay. So she was just giving guys happy endings in a bathroom. Okay. Alright. I didn't expect that.
力はあるが頭は空っぽのジャガイモ男。そして人を殺せない臆病なスナイパー。よくぞこれだけクズが揃ったものだと感動すら覚えるね。かくいう私も親に反発し敗者になろうとしてなぜかグミになったアホだ。いや、この正体では私が一番のアホだろう。
Yeah, that doesn't exactly inspire confidence in you, buddy.
親の用意した進路が気に入らずに大学を中退。自分に無条件で与えられた約束された将来というやつが気に入らなかったというか、冷静になって周りを見たとき、恵まれない連中を達観しているかのごとく傍観している自分がつくづく矮小な人間に思えて嫌になって、自分自身の手で切り開いた道というのが欲しくなった。
I mean, good on him, trying to make his own way.
そこで私は軍に入ったわけだが、まあ甘かったね。私はとことん甘ちゃんだった。今は当時の自分を力いっぱいぶん殴ってやりたい気持ちでいっぱいだよ。軍、そして戦場ってやつは徹底したリアリストを求める場だ。綺麗事や理想なんてものは何の力も持たない。むしろ邪魔で消されていく存在だ。私は正論なんてものには何の力もないことを思い知ったよ。戦場に正義なんてものはない。だから私は自分の名前が嫌いだ。究極の現実主義の前では嘘っぱちでしかない自分の名前が大嫌いだ。いっそ豚に食わせてしまいたいような名前だ。なんだ、どこまで話した？
Dude really just kind of went off on a tangent. Alright, I'm slightly liking him. Slightly. Ever so
名
slightly.
前を豚に食わせてしまえのあたりであります。
そんなこと言った？ああ、そうか。ありがとう、エディ。まあ、そんなことはどうでもいいか。
なあおい、あえて言いたかねえが、こいつ絶対なんかやってるだろ。
どうもいかんな。頭がしゃっきりしない。コーヒーだ。コーヒーがいるな。アリソン、コーヒーを入れてくれ。アリソン。
Who the hell's Allison?
少尉殿、アリソン上等兵は先週の休んで戦死されました。
Oh.
そうか。困るな。そうしたら私は誰にコーヒーを入れてもらえばいいんだ？
Make it yourself.
私は彼女がいないと替えの靴下の場所もわからない。
Dude.
本当に困る。
Dude.
そうか。誰も死ななければ今後はこういったトラブルは起きないわけだ。それだ、そうしよう。
What was that about ideals and wishes holding you back? That's too much of an ideal. And I know I've said it a few times, but a good commander will try to prevent any casualties. A great commander knows that he cannot. This guy's trying to be a good commander and saying, yeah, there's not going to have any more casualties. No one else is going to die. Yeah, no. You got to be prepared for that. You want to minimize it.
よし、君たちに質問だ。 諦めが悪くてしつこいのが褒められる三大職業といえば科学者と借金取りともう一つは何でしょう。あ？
おい、こいつは普段コーヒーに何混ぜて飲んでるんだ？
いいからさっさと答えたまえ。あと5秒。はい、5、4、3、2。
待ってくれ、今ネットで調べてみるよ。
ここは戦場だ。悩んだり考えたりして即座に行動を起こさない奴は死ぬぞ。風見、君はどうだ？
The answer's soldier.
はい、そう、It's a soul! 大正解。まずは2000ドル獲得。おめでとう。
Okay, would that be cash or check? What are you getting at exactly?
軍人ってやつはタフでしつこくて諦めが悪いやつほど褒められる。けどね、ダメな時はダメだ。だから逃げる時は逃げる。それが私の正体だ。いいよね。
おいおい、軍人が敵を前にして尻尾巻いて逃げるってのか？
尻尾は巻かない。君らブッシュドッグって知ってるかね？
Oh no, not the bush dog.
ブッシュドッグ？なんだそりゃ。
ヤブ犬だよ、ヤブ犬。
A bush dog is a bush dog is a bush dog. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Lieutenant. That cleared things up.
とても狡猾でずる賢い生き物で、ピンチになると後ろ向きのまま全力疾走で逃げる習性があると言われている。
God damn.
我々はそれを目指そうじゃないか。ずる賢く立ち回り、やばいと思えば銃を敵に向けたまま後ろ向きに全力疾走。かっこいい。
Wow.
よし、本日現時刻をもって我がイランコ正体はヤブ犬正体と解消す。異論はないな。
Okay, I mean, bush dog platoon is a little better than the first one.
いや、まあ、あんたが小隊長だ。好きにしろよ。
では決まりだ。新名称を祝して活動機を上げよう。総員銃を天に掲げて力の限り叫べ。はい、ナフー。
This guy's off his rocker.
ナフーってブッシュドッグってな、そんな声で鳴く生き物なのか？
What a yeah, this is such a motley fucking crew. Fucking Robbie just going in here with his zip-up camo hoodies. Like, yeah, I'm totally ready for combat with this, guys. I will protect my emotos. But I gotta look cool while doing it. Danny is just trying to rock the sleeveless look, and I mean, it's kind of working. Yeah, Millie is... They literally just plopped like a fucking helmet on top of her model. It looks so awkward. And then boy, Eddie. Man is built like a shit brick house, and I love him. This is just a huge dude. He's massive. Though, damn, being a teenager and already that gray, oof. What the hell?
いや、ネットの動画で見るともっと甲高い声で鳴く生き物みたいだよ。プレーリードッグとかの警戒発生に近いかな。
どうしたどうした、声を出せ。
I don't really get it, but this clearly isn't gonna end until we howl, so let's just play along.
ではもう一度行くぞ。ヤブ犬正体。アヘッアヘッゴーバックヘッ。I say ナフー。ナフー。
Okay. Well, I'd landed in a pretty crazy place this time for sure. There was no one here except idiots, cowards, and lunatics. And unless I relied on them, I wouldn't survive. That was just a fact. Dramatically christening ourselves the Bush Dog Platoon was all well and good, but the Marines still saw us as a slapped-together hodgepodge of loose ends. In other words, we were a disposable unit. A single phone call or slip of paper could send us hopping from right to left. They'd use us and abuse us until we simply wore out. Soon enough, we really were being mobilized all over the place, usually in the role of reinforcements. One particularly aggravating occasion, they gave us 2 weeks' worth of food and ammo, and sent us into the mountains to hunt gorillas, while also installing underground personnel sensors known as tablets all over the place. No matter how we buried those things, they just kept getting dug up by the enemy. So we buried them again and again, and whenever we encountered gorillas, we had no choice but to fight. It didn't matter if rain was falling or if the wind was howling, the enemies kept showing up. They didn't care if it was morning or night. They didn't care if we were eating or shitting. The attacks came at all hours without warning. Well, yeah. That's Guerrilla's that's a Guerrilla's MO. At first, we established a sentry rotation for when we set up camp at night. But on rainy days, our eyesight wasn't any more effective than our personnel sensors. Eventually, we all began to sleep sprawled out on the ground with our equipment still on.
ここは地盤の関係でタブがあまり効かない。保証を立てなくていいのかい？
ビクビクするなよ。ショーティーを見てみろ。ちゃんと寝たふりをしてるだろ。軍では休めと言われて休まんやつは、かかれと言われて逃げ出すやつと同じだ。休めるうちに休んでおけ。
ああしてべったりと地面に倒れていると、まるで死んでるみたいだな。
バーカ、ジーニーがそう簡単に死ぬわけないだろ。見なよ、耳を地面に押し付けてうつ伏せに寝てるだろ。ああやって寝ていれば敵の足音にすぐに気がつく。人間タブレットってわけだよ。
なるほどね。さすがは風見教官だ。寝姿すらためになる。自分も真似をしよ
う。うん、起きた。
Where's the lieutenant?
寝る前にクソしに行くっつってまだ戻ってきてねえよ。
Someone go call for him. The enemy's approaching.
マジかよ。エディ、ちょっと隊長呼んできてくれ。
う。わかった。
本当だ。おい270、800メートル先のタブにわずかだけど対人反応がある。
どうした？敵かね？
まだはっきりとはしないが、ショーティーが敵だと言っている。
どうなのかな、ロビー。
確かにタブの反応はありますね。でもはっきりとしない。何らかの野生動物の可能性もあるし。
Better be safe than sorry. It'd be better to confirm a false positive than ignore a real reading.
私はジーニーを信じるよ。
うん、私も信じよう。これは敵だ。
また逃げますか？
そうだね。そうしよう。リバースフォーメーションのアルファだ。風見、君が先頭になって逃げよ
う。Roger。
さて、どっちに逃げるかだけど、ロビー、部隊の配置図を。
最後に更新されたのは2時間前ですが、時間的にもおそらく大きな変化はないかと。
では90度の方角に逃げよう。ちょうどそちらに2部隊が配置されているから、逃げながら敵の規模を確認して、彼らに無線連絡して協力してもらおう。
釣りのぶせですね。
そういうこと。かったるいからさっさと終わらせよう。また朝まで追いかけっことか、もうたくさんだよ。
Alright. Well, that makes sense. Back away into a potential friendly unit. So you've got an advantage that they don't know about, presumably. That's pretty smart. The Bushdog platoon, and its ability to retreat backwards in the face of potent guerrilla units, eventually became fairly well known across the battalion. Once HQ knew they had an effective piece of bait on their hands, we began to receive many orders to assume that role in an operational capacity. But of course, our enemy wasn't stupid either. The more we used our basic strategy, the less effective it became. Oof. Yeah, of course it's not gonna... If you keep doing the same thing, it's not gonna work. Even in the darkness, my stomach nearly turned itself out every time I shot an enemy. Whether I could see them or not didn't really matter. Every time I pulled the trigger, I was picturing the moment my shot would reach the target. Staring through my scope at a field of inky blackness, I'd fire my rifle while imagining the impact that would follow. That alone was sufficient to get my puking party started.
Hey, Shorty! 大丈夫か?
Not at all. Feels like I'm gonna spit my stomach out. And my head's pounding.
今後方の連中がこっちに増援を向かわせてる。もう少し耐えてくれ。
How much?
ロビー!
あと20分ぐらいだよ。このまま交代しながら合流する。
Not what I meant. How much of the enemy unit is left? How many more of them do I have to kill?
そうだね。あと17人殺せば敵は全滅するかな。
This dude's gonna fucking hurl everything. That's a lot. I don't have nearly that many bullets left.
よし。では弾を集めよう。誰か 7.62 ミリを持ってないか。薬莢が51ミリのやつだ。
無茶だ。これ以上はショーティーが潰れちまう。
Danny, dump some leaves and dirt on my back, will you? I'll stay here and act as a static gunner.
抜けたこと言ってんじゃねえぞ。ダチを置いていくぐらいなら死んだ方がマシだ。いいかショーティー。ダチってのはな、最後まで裏切らねえ。最後まで見捨てねえからダチなんだ。
You're so cool, Danny.
笑ってんじゃねえよ。つか笑ってる余裕あるなら立てよクソが。
ジーニー、死んだ敵の G3 から弾かっぱらってきたよ。これ使えんだろ。ほら、こんなにいっぱい。
ベリー、てめえ余計なもん拾ってきやがってショーティーを殺す気か。
ジーニー、もうダメなの？後で抱っこしてあげるからさ。もうちょっと頑張ってよ。
Millie, stop, please. I'm sorry, you cannot fuck his PTSD away. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. You can't just fuck it away. Right. Can't embarrass myself in front of a girl. It's fine. I can keep killing.
いいぞ。それでこそ私のジーニーだ。私、ジーニーと一緒なら敵が何人いても全然怖くない。だからさ、頑張って。諦めないで。ね。
Well, this is no time to be lying around puking, I guess. Let me have those bullets.
よし。では、ここにミリエラがかき集めた 7.62 ミリが9発ある。これを全部君に預けよう。
Not a lot.
この弾を使って敵を9人殺してくれたまえ。できるかな？
No problem. I'll kill 9 more. It's fine. I'll kill them. No matter what.
よし。では風見、君はここで固定放題となるんだ。煽っておくかね。
I'm fine.
そうか、それは結構。実は後に切らしているんだ。
The hell's a little helper?
笑ってる場合か。ショーティーが残るなら俺も残るぞ。
いやいや、彼をここに残すのは確かだが、我々は前進するんだ。
前進？
ダチを見捨てるわけにもいかんしな。風見を最終防衛ラインとして我々は敵に向かって前進するのさ。
話が通じるじゃねえかよ、J。やっぱあんた、イかれてるぜ。
勘違いするなよ。別にみんなで仲良く全滅しようってわけじゃない。増援が来たら真っ先に逃げる。全力で逃げる。 それまでは踏ん張る、前向きに踏ん張る、それだけだ。ロビー、
交代せずに増援を待つとなると30分ってところですかね。
よし、じゃあ30分ほどここで頑張って、それでも増援が間に合わないときは私が風見を担いで交代しよう。それならなんとかなるだろう。
Maybe not a great plan, but it's still a plan nonetheless. They're still in a lot of danger, but hey, it's something. It's something. At least they're not willing to abandon them completely. Sorry to make a nuisance of myself.
君がいなくなったら私は明日からコーヒーを入れるやつがいなくなるからね。お互い様だよ。
You make my coffee, I carry you off of a live battlefield. Even trade. Even trade.
どうでもいいけどよ、打って出るなら早くしないとしんがりのエディがやられちまうよ。
Oh, fuck. Eddie's on his own?
よし、ヤブ犬正体、反撃に出るぞ。やれるかい、風見。
Nine's gonna be tough. Starting to see blood in my vomit. If I throw up again, I won't be eating anything for a while.
覚悟はいいかね。
There's no time. Just do it.
目を閉じたまえ、風見雄二。
The hell? My eyes were spinning. The darkness was so profound that I could barely even see the bed of earth I laid on. Whether my eyes were open or shut made surprisingly little difference as to what I saw. The fact that I could feel them spinning anyway probably meant my sense of balance was beginning to go haywire. However, the darkness wasn't solely a negative thing. It meant I didn't have to see anything I didn't need to. When you see nothing, it's easier to control what you visualize.
聞こえるか、風見雄二。そして見えるか、風見雄二。今君の目の前で、君の仲間たちが敵と戦っている。
My comrades.
そう。君と同じ目をして、同じものを見て、同じものを食べ、同じものと戦い、同じ涙を流してきた、とても大切な仲間だ。
Dear friends.
ダニエル・ボーン。大雑把な男だが、面倒見はいい。君にとってはダメな兄のような親友だろう。ミリエラ・スタンフィールド、ロバート・ウォルソン、エドワード・ウォーカー。彼らは皆大切な君の仲間であり、家族じゃないか。そんな彼らは今、君を守ろうと必死に敵と戦っている。
The enemy.
そう、敵だ。見えるだろう。敵は人間じゃない。緑色をした巨大なクマだ。
Giant green bears, huh?
クマを倒せ、風見雄二。必要な時、非常になれない人間は自分の手を汚したくないだけの偽善者だ。殺すたびにゲロを吐く。引き金を引くたびに気が遠くなる。辛いよな。でもそれが戦争だよ、風見雄二。無力に生き残るか、力強く死ぬか、選ぶのは君だ。どうする？
I'll kill them. I'll kill our enemies.
よし、ならば戦え。責任は全て私が取る。殺せ、風見雄二。私が許可する。
Thank you.
まず一匹。
I'm sick of it.
二匹目。
Sick of quivering with fear.
三匹目。
sitting by, helpless,
4匹目
of watching people I care about die.
5匹目
I've had enough of that for one life.
6匹目
There's no point in living. If all I can do is cower in fear.
7匹目
I'll kill them all.
8匹目
Danny, Millie, Robbie, Eddie. They're all my comrades. My friends.
ラスト9匹目
Anyone who wants to take them away is my enemy. And I'll kill all my enemies.
よくやった風見雄二貴様は最高だ疲れただろう休んでよし
Not yet. There's still enemies left. The enemies just keep coming. I have to kill them. I have to kill so many more.
休んでよし休め風見雄二これは命令だもういいんだありがとう風見雄二あとは任せてもう眠れ
This is not good.
ありがと
My eyes were spinning. The world was spinning around and around me. And in time, my mind fell silently into darkness, as if sinking into the mud deep at the bottom of the sea. Lulled by the sounds of a battle taking place somewhere very far away, I fell calmly into a peaceful sleep. Millie? In time, some part of my deeply unconscious mind recognized the sound of a song, and my eyes opened once more. I felt terrible. There was a painful heaviness in my head, and the back of my nose was aching. I probably had a fever. A smell like burning plastic was lingering deep in my nostrils. It was a very familiar feeling. Someone had most likely given me a dose of anti-inflammatory medication. Hey, there's Millie. What happened with the battle? How many days has it been? Where are the others?
落ち着いてジーニーもう終わったよ
Over?
増援が合流した時点で敵は逃げてったよ
I see. Is everyone alright?
ジーニーがきっちりと9人削ってくれたおかげだよみんな感謝してるラニーがあいつを信じろって叫んでた
So, it's over. I survived again, huh?
ジーニーは死なないよあんたには私がいる仲間がいる何も怖くないやばくなったら逃げればいい逃げる時も後ろ向きで全力だヤブ犬正体なんだからさ
Sorry for the trouble, Milila.
まだ寝てなきゃダメだよジーニー
I'm fine.
私が平気じゃないまだこうしていたいダメ
Just a little longer then.
うんそれともう銃は離していいんだよもう敵はいないから
From what Milila said, I'd apparently killed exactly 9 enemies, but I didn't remember it that clearly. It almost felt like I'd just woken up after a long nightmare. Killing was something I did alone. Maybe that's why it made me sick. It was different when my comrades were with me, following the same road, taking in the same sights. When I was with them, I could see things I was ordinarily blind to. I could even see myself, the way I really was, reflected in their eyes. As long as I could see their faces, know they'd survived, I could convince myself I was doing the right thing. I'm gonna do a quick save.
セーブしないんだからね。
Oh, we're still here. Hey, Nichols!
シナリオ進行度の確認なんてしないんだからね。
How's it going? After 2 months or so in a war zone, you get used to a lot of things. And at the same time, you start to grow numb in a lot of ways. A bit of gunfire no longer startles you. An explosion nearby no longer makes your heart jump. You learn how to make your dwindling rations last longer. Stripping weapons and ammo from the corpses of enemy soldiers becomes routine. And when you're done killing, you head for the nearest town to sleep with women. Oh, well, nice. Going good, just eating breakfast? Nice. What you having for brekkie brek? We'd seen lots of things no one should have to see. We'd done lots of things no one should have to do. Everything about this place was insane.
アリソン、コーヒーを入れてくれ。アリソン。
Allison's dead! Just a bag with cream cheese? Nice. Very nice. How many times do I need to tell you Allison's dead? Get used to living without her already, Jay. I appear to have arrived at a very dark spot again. You kind of missed the actual dark point, I would say. Where he was kind of throwing up and making himself kill people to save his platoon. I mean, we got the hopeful music happening right now.
そっか。そうだな。すまないが風見、コーヒーを入れてくれ。
You don't have much left. Make sure you savor it. By the time you start talking about the death of your comrades as if it was a joke, the paralysis has already set in. When violent death becomes commonplace, it's nearly impossible to stay sane. At the time of our arrival, we'd all thought Lieutenant Mike Meyer was deranged. But by now, he was starting to seem like one of the more moderate cases. Next week, a fresh wave of reinforcements would be arriving from the rear. No doubt they'd look at us and see a bunch of complete lunatics. And of course, they'd ask the same questions that new arrivals always asked.
どうだ、この戦場は勝っているのか。
さあな、殺した数と殺された数で比較すりゃ多少勝ってるのかもな。
そもそも戦争ってのはどうなったら勝ちなんだ。俺たちは何をすれば勝つんだ。
そんなもの知る必要はないし考える必要もない。俺たち兵隊は言われたことを言われた通りにやればそれでいいって学校で習っただろう。
Once you grow accustomed to the battlefield, details like where you are and who you're fighting against start to seem increasingly insignificant. The only thing that matters is that you and your buddies are still alive for now. But of course, if someone you ate breakfast with in the morning is gone by nightfall, it doesn't exactly come as a shock. That was just the nature of this place. It was hard to accept, but easy enough to understand. In the midst of this pervasive atmosphere of resignation, or perhaps fatalism, I heard a story from one of my platoon mates.
なあみんな、口を縫われた男って話を知ってるかい？
Oh my god. By the way, Nichols, we don't like Robbie. We don't like Robbie at all. Because he's just like a full-blown early 2000s otaku weeaboo. He thinks Japan is a glorious holy land full of little sisters and shit. We were literally introduced to this man sitting inside a common room of a battleship playing a hentai VN with no headphones and being super enthusiastic about it. This man was playing porn in public. No shame. Fuck Robbie. Got it. Yep, fuck Robbie. I sent screen caps to my friend of some parts. He was devoted to Japanimation otaku and lover of hentai games. Robbie had simply refused to go to school, locking himself in his room to play games all day long. His old man, the owner of a butcher shop, eventually lost patience and physically knocked him into enlistment. This man was denied the neat lifestyle of just sitting at home playing games all day and doing nothing else. His dad literally dragged him and forced him to be a fucking Marine. Like, oh, yeah, I don't like Robbie for that.
なんだそれ。どんな話だ。
太平洋戦争中の話だ。その海軍戦闘機搭乗員だった男はある日ゼロに撃墜されて負傷した。顔面をケーキ板で強打し、顔に何針もの怪我をして衛生兵すら満足にいない南の島で治療を受け。
And he said, I'll be a Marine, but I'm taking my hentai with me. Yeah. Yeah, all of his little sister hentai. God. They thought his nickname was... Well, everyone kept calling him Immortal Robbie, thinking he'd be some cool badass. No, it's because all of his squad mates back at boot camp overheard him shouting Imoto, or the Japanese word for little sister, out loud and thought he was saying immortal. This man screams for little sisters. I just can't. I can't with this fuck.
その男は口が開かないほどに縫い付けられてしまった。やがて怪我もだいぶ癒えた男は搭乗員として復帰したが、縫われた口だけは開かず、言い訳も不満すらも口にしない男となり、口を聞けないのをいいことに危険な認知へと飛ばされ、多くの仲間の悲壮な死に直面したそうだ。やがて終戦を迎え、生きて復員した男は仲間の遺品と共に帰国したが、男は最後まで戦争のことは一言も語らなかったんだとさ。だ？面白いだろ？
How the fuck is that funny, Robbie?
それのどこが面白いってのさ。
だからさ、男が生き残れた理由は何を見ても何を経験しても何も喋らなかったからなんだよ。
How is that funny?
軍では余計なことを喋らない奴が長生きするって、そういうお話さ。
Yeah, hilarious, Robbie, you sick fuck.
救われない話だな。笑えないよ。
I like Eddie. He's a big shit brick house of a teenager with white hair for some reason. He only joined the Marines so he could earn money and send it all back to his family's failing farm. His mom can't do it on her own, and he wasn't, I guess, that much help after his dad died. This man joined the Marines to help his family, so I like Eddie. He's a cool dude. He's a cool dude. Still, it's probably got the right message.
戦争に正しいも間違いもねえよ。
Danny's just a former car thief that kind of got forced to go in here instead of jail long term, I think. And the most we got from our only female member of the squad, Millie, is she used to work in a bar bathroom, if you know what I mean, apparently. And she's just all over Yuji. Like, all fucking over him. Because, of course, every woman in this damn series, again, wants the Kazumi cock. For some goddamn reason. I don't understand it. In time, our Bush Dog platoon completed its period of deployment, and we returned to the United States. The things we saw and the things we did probably don't bear repeating. That's how terrible they were. How terrible that place was. But now that I completed my second term practical training, my pre-existing orders were to return immediately to Japan, where I'd begin training for appointment as a member of SERS.
どうしても日本へ帰るのか？貴様の腕ならこのままこの国でいくらでも仕事はあるぞ。
I appreciate it, but Asato's in Japan, you know? Although she'd accompanied me on the trip over to America, Asako apparently hadn't found her job as a hunting school instructor particularly enjoyable. According to JB, she returned to Japan around the same time my second term deployment was decided. Right now, I just wanted to see Asako as soon as I possibly could. It's not like I'm attached to Japan, but it's still my home country, I guess.
そうか。ならば無理に引き止めることはしないでおこう。
If there's ever a job only I can do, just give me a call. Depending on your terms, I'll come help out anytime.
捨て駒正体のヤブ犬が随分とでかい口を叩くようになったじゃないか。
Hey, Cyber Lizard, how's it going? Going pretty good. Going pretty good. Guess I figured I could get away with it by now. Anyway, I think I need to get going. Thanks for everything, Annie.
制服を着た私をアニーと呼ぶな。バカ者め。
Yeah, those two definitely fucked at some point, of course. New game? Kinda, sorta. A sequel to a game we were playing earlier. Captain Agnes Garrett, thank you for everything. I, Corporal Kazumi Yuji, hope to be of service to you again.
達者でな。
見送らないでいいのか。お前の大好きなジギーが日本に帰っちまうんだぞ。
さよならは昨日もう済ませた。
Uh-huh.
だから
What kind of goodbyes with that? What kind of goodbyes were those, Millie? Whatever, I mean, you do you, but like, holy fuck, this man has how many times said, no, I'm not interested in you, and yet you're still sleeping together.
あんたこそ見送りに行かないでいいのかよ。
男に見送られたって嬉しかねえだろ。こういうのはやっぱり女の任務だ。まあ、本当にいいのか？
しつこいな。いいんだよ。ジーニーにしてみれ。てめえが振った女に見送られたら。
Rejected no less than 4 times, by the way.
やっと振られたことを認めたか。
Put this game in my wish list? Nice. I definitely recommend the Grisaia games. Fruit and Labyrinth, so far, have been great.
うるせえ。どっか行っちまえよ。
Never know what to expect with them, honestly.
邪魔したな。俺は仕事に戻るぜ。泣くなら俺がいなくなってからにしてくれ。うぜえから。
うるせえ。バカ野郎。ずっと一緒にはいられない。そんなことはもうずいぶん前から分かっていた。もう会わない方がいい。そんなことは私が一番よく分かっている。今会えばきっと私はどうしようもなくうざい女になる。
A record of Lodos? Never heard of it.
うざい女が口にする余計な言葉をジーニーに言ってしまう。 惚れた男を困らせるだけのクソみたいな女になる。そんなことをすればずっと我慢してきた私は何だったんだって絶対に後悔する。だから今の私には祈ることしかできない。神様、どうか私のジーニーに幸運を。できることならこの世のすべての幸せをジーニーにどうかお願いします。彼の行く末にありったけの幸運を。
I mean, it's not super happy. At some point, Asako has to die, and then he goes through the entirety of Fruit of Grisaia. And that's just kind of, you know, a lot. According to my wish list, I'll need a... Damn. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks with any wish list someone has. It's always going to be hundreds upon hundreds of dollars. Always. My arrival had been sudden, and my departure was equally so. When I went to the airport listed on my orders from SIRS, I found a handful of transport planes waiting there, standing by to return a number of Japanese workers to their country. Joining the group of workers, I boarded at dusk. After a bit of almost reluctant circling, the plane turned its nose toward Japan and flew off. Enjoy the 12-hour flight! Oh, God. That was not the funnest part, I'll tell you that, guys. Flying to Japan, it's a long-ass flight. Pretty damn sure it was a 12-hour flight. Let's see, yeah, it's like 14 hours, basically, in total. And that's between two different planes. The first one is maybe an hour or so. The next one is the longest. Let's see, what does it say exactly? I just kind of quickly looked up a Google search from just good old Toronto here in Ontario to Tokyo, because that's how it got there last time. Oh, wow, there's a non-stop flight. Jesus. Yes, I want to be on a plane for 14 hours, please. Okay, that one makes a little more sense. Kinda. Yeah, that makes sense. So going from Pearson International to like 2 hours in the air, stopping off somewhere in the States. In this case, the one I'm looking at right now is stopping off in Chicago at O'Hare International Airport. Like a 2.5 hour layover. Then hop on the plane from O'Hare to Haneda Airport in Japan. That is 13.5 hours in the air. You'll be leaving at 6:30 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, and then arriving, 6:30 in the morning on a Monday from Canada, and then arriving at 2:55 p.m. Tuesday in Japan. The time change is so fucked. It took a little bit to get used to. They're more or less 12 hours ahead. I think it is. I think it's 12 hours ahead. Yeah, 12 hours ahead. Or something like that. I don't know. Basically, if it was morning in Japan, it's night over here. If it's night here, it's morning there. I remember just waking up in the morning and getting a call from my parents on, like, Easter. Like, a Orthodox Easter. Just, you know. And it was nighttime there. They're having dinner while I was just starting to wake up. It was so weird. It was so odd. But I liked it. I want to go back. I 100% want to go back to Japan and have another little mini vacation there. It's great. It's fun. It's awesome. And soon, on a somewhat blistery day, I made my way back to that mountain with my face to the wind. Not knowing the purpose of my life or what I could even accomplish with it, I'd set off boldly on an ambitious journey. And in the end, I wasn't bringing anything like an answer home with me. But even so, when I look back on it now, it hadn't all been terror and pain. Something about the sight of this familiar mountain trail made me feel like my old life was waiting for me here, just as it had been, and I found a small sense of happiness growing inside me. There's Asako. When I reached the cabin, Asako was sitting on the stairs outside, drinking a beer. Just like she always did. Waiting for me.
いやー、意外と早かったな。
Asako?
おかえり。ちっとは男らしい顔になったんじゃねえか?
Nothing had changed. I hadn't been able to change anything about myself. But even so, when I saw Asako's face and realized she hadn't changed a bit, I felt tears welling up in my eyes. I didn't even know why. I was just so relieved. For some reason, the tears just wouldn't stop. I thought it was impossible for someone like me to live a normal life, no matter how I tried. The biggest problem, of course, was that I didn't know what a normal life even meant. But Asako was here for me. She'd waited to welcome me home. Her cooking was as shockingly terrible as ever. As long as she's not cooking any more deer cock, we're fine. But somehow, it was the most delicious garbage I'd ever tasted. These trivial little things were probably what normal was. I finally understood that now. And in this moment, I realized for the first time that my life no longer seemed quite so meaningless. Asako,
おいおい、泣くなよ。どうした？辛かったか？
Asako, for the first time in my life, I'm glad to be alive. Asako's smell, Asako's softness, it all filled me with nostalgia. I realized in that moment that normalcy wasn't about your environment or your circumstances. It was about the people you shared them with. I'd come back home. I'd come back to this woman, to Kusakabe Asako. All that crap about national defense was nothing more than a facade. The only thing I really wanted to defend was a single person. Hey, Asako?
Huh?
Is there anything I can do with myself?
なんだってできるさ。
Look, I know this sounds pathetic, but I just don't know how to use the rest of my life. So I'll just give it all to you, Asako. Asako?
いらねえよ、バーカ。
I see. Guess I shouldn't have expected her to spoil me that rotten. She was probably telling me, a man should be able to figure out the path he's going to follow for himself. And so, I decided to climb the slope known as Ichigaya. Yeah, I'm finally going to join it officially, not just take up jobs for her under the radar. Alright, let's see. What percentage is this at now? Oh, shit! We are 3/4 of the way through the route now. We are literally in the homeward stretch here. I'm actually going to take a short break to make myself another tea, and then we'll get right back into it. So, BRB. Alright, and I am back. Probably should have put my sweater on, because, ooh, a tiny bit chilly. That should be fine. I'd completed my training period in America and gained actual combat experience, but back in Japan, they weren't about to shake my hand and immediately appoint me as an active member of SIRS. Japan had its own set of rules, and I couldn't work there until I obtained the necessary qualifications. It's a lot like a driver's license. When you move to a new country, you have to pass that country's tests. In order to obtain my domestic license, I needed to train with a newly formed special ops unit based in Narashino, and earn an evaluation of excellent for my specialized skills.
貴様が海兵隊出身の新人だな。
How did you know, sir?
行進の時、手の甲が前を向いている。日本では手の甲は横だ。というか、話には聞いていたが、本当にガキだな。ガキのくせに嫌な目をしてやがる。
They're the eyes of someone who's killed before, sir.
だろうな。正直俺は、お前のようなやつをうちの連中に混ぜてやるつもりはない。適当にやって適当に出ていけ。適当という言葉の意味は理解しているな。
Sir. Yes, sir.
お前は好きにやれ。訓練表は持っているな。今日は A コースだ。かかれ。
Sir. Yes, sir. Being neglected completely wasn't so bad. It was a lot less stressful, for one thing. For the most part, I silently carried out my training as directed by the exercise list, recorded my own results, and presented them to the instructor. That said, I couldn't risk getting sloppy just because I wasn't being observed. One day, I looked over to find that Instructor Kuwahara was watching me even when he directed the other trainees who'd been chosen for his team.
風見御所、こっちへ来て手本を見せてやれ。
Yes? What do you need, sir?
アメリカ帰りの貴様に一国で完結する戦力を持たなかった我々との違いというやつを見せてもらうじゃないか。武藤、貴様が相手をしてもらえ。はい。
I was familiar with this Muto who'd responded energetically to the instructor's orders. I had met him on my first day in Narashino, as I was packing my belongings into my locker among the other team members.
なんだお前、ずいぶんと若いな。どこから来た？
よせ、そいつは外資の人間だ。関わるな。
外資？ってなんすかそれ？武藤さん、こいつのこと知ってるんですか？
知らんよ。だが外資ってのは言葉の通りだ。外国資本組織。つまり赤坂の息のかかった人間だ。関わらない方がいい。
すんません、俺アホなもんで、もう少しわかりやすく。
Bruh.
そいつはな、国籍こそ日本だが、アメリカ中央情報局が現地調達した工作員なんだよ。
マジっすか？なんすかそれ？こいつアメリカのスパイなんすか？
ガキみてえだからって舐めない方がいいぞ。外資に拾われてるってことは、
Yeah.
こいつ相当やばいぞ。
He'll even kill you. It just comes with the drawback of him throwing his guts up every time.
やばいって何がっすか？
何人か殺してるんじゃないか？
More than a few.
外資に拾われる連中ってのは、元テロリストとか死刑になってもおかしくないような凶悪犯罪者だってのが相場だ。人に向けた銃の引き金を引くときに悩まないやつ。そんなやつを手っ取り早く選ぶとなりゃ、そういう連中を集めるのが一番面倒がないからな。
Well, I understood that he hated me. Everyone else had worked their way through an extended curriculum, earned all sorts of qualifications, and endured a harsh gauntlet of selection exams to secure their place here. It can't have been too pleasant to see someone strolling casually through the door with nothing except a bit of practical experience abroad. The instructor probably wanted to throw us against each other in order to establish a clear hierarchy within the unit.
貴様らには模擬格闘戦をやってもらおう。いいか風見。この武藤という男は私が受け持つ班の中でも特に成績が振るっている注目株で、教官の間でも株様として高い評価を得ている。
Why are you calling him blue whatever?
そんなうちの株様とアメリカ帰りの殺人装置、どっちが優秀でどれほどの性能差があるか見せてもらおう。いいな、風見。
Yes.
おい株様、貴様もいいな。俺に恥をかかせるなよ。バッジ持ちの意地見せてみろ。連城。使用する武器は自由。模擬弾の使用を許可する。始め。
Even as the words were leaving our instructor's mouth, Muto reached for his waist, unsheathed a blunt knife with its teeth ground off, and took his stance. There were roughly 3 meters between us. Alright, so we're gonna get his tactical analyzing the fight and how he's gonna counter every move this fucker does, right? Right? Damn. I clicked my tongue in irritation, resisting the urge to curse out loud. The training dagger we've been authorized to use wasn't available to me at present. I'd taken my knife off along with my hip bag before going prone for rifle practice. It was still lying in my padded gun case halfway across the yard. Somehow I doubt they're gonna let me run over and get it. When you're on a battlefield, making excuses isn't exactly an option. If this was a simulation of actual combat, the instructor was presumably evaluating our skill, our ability. Why did I get skill? Our ability to make use of the cards we'd been dealt. This is going to be a little tricky. As someone trained in their usage from a very young age, I knew exactly how dangerous blades could be. They aren't much good outside of their limited range, but unlike the straightforward trajectory of a bullet, a knife can come at you in unpredictable curving arcs. In close-range combat, it's hard to overstate how threatening that is. On top of which, my opponent's physique was clearly superior to my own. At a glance, he was probably only 2 or 3 years older than me. But when you're young, that can translate to a truly massive difference in physical strength. I'm going to be at a disadvantage if this drags on too long. I immediately turned my body to hide my dominant right arm behind my torso. Indifferent to my bluff, Muto slid his right foot half a step toward in a kendo-style shuffle step. His breathing was soft and steady. He sees right through me. Well, that's fine. Still keeping my right arm hidden, I took a single large step toward my opponent. As my foot moved forward, I dug my toes into the ground and kicked the sand directly at Muto's face. Oh, shit. However, he'd also anticipated the use of dirty tactics from my end. Ever heard of the fox awaits me hunt? I have not. I followed up with an avalanche movement, falling forward while keeping our faces aligned, but Muto was ready for me. Shielding his left eye from the sand with his free hand, he tightened his ice-pick grip on his dagger and stabbed it down at my face. Damn it! The avalanche is all about using the perception of distance created by eye contact to close in with deceptive speed. As a result, Muto's dagger came down slightly off target. Its dull blade knocked the cap off my head, dug into my forehead with a solid thunk, and nicked my right ear as it went. Oof. A real knife would have cut deeply enough to expose bone. But while cuts to the head do cause copious bleeding, it's rare for them to be fatal. That's no good, Muto-san. Gotta aim for the eyes. Are you holding back because we're training? It's difficult to do things in combat that you've never practiced in training. You're better off trying as many things as possible while you've still got the chance to experiment. I reached out quickly toward Muto's face, my left thumb heading straight for his eye. If he didn't evade this, I could jam my thumb into his eye socket, hook it to grab his skull, and pull him toward me. Ugh. If he wanted to avoid my thumb, he'd have to jerk his chin upward. What's it gonna be, Muto-san? His chin jerked upward. Probably the right call in terms of avoiding an instant defeat. But what will you do if I pull you? Bringing my right arm out from behind my torso, I wrapped it around Muto's right hand, immobilizing his training dagger. Once I trapped his arm between my elbow and shoulder, I sharply twisted my upper body to reduce the distance between us. Muto's joints groaned audibly as his arm turned in an unnatural direction, and before he could recover, I grabbed his forehead with my left hand, cutting off his line of sight. God damn! Startled by his sudden blindness, Muto recklessly thrust out his left hand. I smashed his extended fingers with a vicious headbutt, then slammed my knee into his flank, using his momentum against him. This all tracks with how we saw Yuji in Fruit. He always does this using people's momentum against them kind of thing. Sorry. As my knee pushed up into Muto's side, the air in his lungs forced its way out of his mouth, and he reached out to grab me once again. But his hand found only air. I'd circled behind my opponent without releasing my grip on his face. Throwing him off balance with a sharp kick to the back of his knees, I proceeded to push him down to the ground. Falling while you're blind is terrifying. Your hands reflexively reach out toward the ground. With me riding piggyback, Muto landed heavily on his knees. An instant later, he reached up with his dominant hand to remove my blindfold, but... Hey, Muto-san, what happened to your knife? Startled by the words I'd whispered into his ear, Muto groped around blindly for the knife he'd been holding a moment before. Yuji's got it. He's gonna hold it to his throat to end the match, isn't he? Just to prove it. Just to prove a point, isn't he? By the time that word left his mouth, I was pressing its cold blade against his exposed throat. Yep! He did it! He fucking did it! I knew it. Sorry about that, Muto-san. Your attitude got on my nerves, so I didn't really go easy on you. Hope your pride wasn't too badly bruised. There, that's what the American murder machine can do. You don't know when to give up. Want me to cut you a few new holes? Ow! You don't have to kick me in the ass. Nothing at all, sir. Oof. Oh, well, fuck you too. Ugh, damn it. I won, didn't I? Why did I have to join him? Of course, I knew logic like that wouldn't get me anywhere. When your commander tells you to do something, you do it, even if it's 10,000 push-ups. When your commander tells you to eat something, you eat it, even if it happens to be dog shit.
Hey, 1、2、3。どうした？しっかり顎を地面につけろ。最初からやり直し。はい、1。
The Japanese instructors always counted with deliberate slowness, and set you back to 0 if they didn't approve of your form. In both respects, it was the same way they'd done things in America. On top of that, they developed a few nasty additions of their own, like the "what time is it" trick. Once you got past 100 push-ups or so, the instructor would sometimes ask, "Time is it right now?" to no one in particular. If you're foolish enough to respond, 1400 hours, sir, they give you a gracious nod, then resume their count from 14. Damn. I don't think Instructor Kuwahara held a grudge over what happened with Muto, but it felt like he really had it in for me, even after I got through my first 2 weeks and joined the sniper squad. On one occasion, a mean-spirited colleague decided to give me trouble by hiding my target in the middle of a long-range precision shooting exercise. I could understand why the other trainees weren't too fond of the cocky brat in their midst, but it wasn't much fun having them underestimate me like this. Focusing my scope on my teammate as he tried to sneak away, I took aim at the target he was carrying and fired 3 quick shots. Every one landed dead center. Yo. Okay, Yuji being a bit of a fucking Giga Chad there. Oh, you're running away with my target? Bang, bang, bang. I'll just hit bullseyes while you're running. Oh my god. Told me to hit the target, so that's what I did. Unless you want to wet your pants again, you probably shouldn't get too close to my target. My colleague had been taught a bit of a lesson, and I'd gotten to whisper a few cool guy lines to myself. Seemed like a satisfactory conclusion, but... A bolt of thunder landed directly on my head, loud enough that I nearly jumped out of my skin. I was given the extremely reasonable punishment of 1,000,000 laps around the grounds. On another occasion, I happened to present a somewhat inaccurate summary of my planned activities during a day off. Then met up with a helicopter pilot who'd offered to tutor me in the art of fine eye control, and headed out for a bit of dynamic vision training at the slots. Oh my god. That probably wasn't too bad in itself, but we ended up winning ourselves a decent war chest. And I let the pilot talk me into a midday celebration at a nearby bar, on the theory that it would be fine as long as I don't get caught. Regrettably, things didn't work out that way. While the instructor resisted the urge to administer punishment in the middle of town, in front of someone from another squad, he dragged me back to base by the scruff of my neck and sentenced me to 100 laps around the grounds and no dinner tonight. Speaking of missed meals, there's another incident that comes to mind. The S trainees. We all ate at separate tables in the mess hall, but our meals weren't particularly different from those of the active base personnel, except in terms of quantity. Given our youth and the extreme training we endured on a daily basis, they didn't give us nearly enough to fill our bellies. Hunger is the Ranger's greatest enemy was something of a truism there. And those who couldn't keep up their strength under this inadequate diet ended up failing out of the program. In other words, The no dinner punishment was an extremely serious one for any trainee. One day, a few members of my squad received just such a penalty. That night, rubbing our groaning stomachs, we gathered together for a commiseration session.
腹減ったな。
なんかなんでもいい。誰か食い物持ってないのか？
ガムならあるけど、こんなのじゃ腹の足しにもならないしな。
なあ風見よ、こういう時アメリカじゃどうしてたんだ？
Suck it up, Buttercup. They didn't starve us as punishment over there. But when people woke up hungry in the middle of the night, they'd supposedly sneak out and catch fish from the sea.
魚か。魚ね。
おい、そういえばさ、A 内に池があるよな。
No guarantee there's gonna be any fish in that pond, bro.
ああ、因数街の空焼きを拾っちまった時に投げ捨てる池な。
あの池にでっかい鯉がいるの知ってるか？
You're not gonna catch a koi and cook it up.
確かにいるな。ってまさかあれを食うのか？
別に誰かが飼ってるわけでなし、バレやしないって。
Well, they'll notice when there's a koi missing.
っていうか食えるのか？風見、お前鯉って食ったことあるか？
Well, no. But I think people make sashimi out of them. Should be edible enough.
よし、食おう!
It was a tough break for the fish, but by unanimous vote, we resolved to put their protein-filled bodies to use in service of the national interest. After catching quite a few, we grilled them brown using some soy sauce we'd swiped from the mess hall, then messily consigned them to our starving stomachs. General consensus seemed to be, they smell like mud, but they taste decent enough. More importantly, our bellies were pleasantly full for the first time in weeks. But just as we were beginning to joke about wanting a little dessert, Instructor Kuwahara arrived on the scene with impeccable timing. Eating koi, sir! Apparently, eating fish from the pond was a step too far. Not only was Kuwahara furious with us, he reported my behavior to Akasaka, earning my unfortunate case officer a dressing down of her own. Oh, not JB! Thank you for your services, Koi. Now get in my belly! Later on, the shaggy-headed woman in question would call me in for a highly tedious sermon. But in the short term, my punishment was all-night water duty.
やしくも貴様らも隊員ならば水の大切さは身に染みて分かっていることだろう。負傷流血した戦傷者は猛烈な喉の渇きを訴えながら死んでいく。水の一杯は血の一杯だ。
We were standing in a row along the corridor of our barracks. Expounding on his somewhat confusing theory, Kuwahara walked slowly down the line, placing a glass of water on each of our heads.
こらえ性のない貴様らにこれより試練を与える。これより朝まで頭上のコップの水を一滴もこぼすことは許さん。もし一滴でもこぼせば、さらに厳しい罰則が待ち受けていることを覚悟しろ。レンジャー!
Having concluded his remarks, Instructor Kuwahara promptly returned to his quarters.
なんてこった。これは地味にきついぞ。少しでも動けば水がこぼれちまう。
あまり喋らない方がいいぞ。
しかし朝までこれはさすがにしんどい。
You guys sure are taking this seriously. That's Japanese people for you, I guess.
何?
As a matter of fact, I'd once received the exact same punishment in America. It's a test of your ability to think flexibly more than anything else. I'm gonna go get some shit, I guess. With a sidelong glance at my squad mates, all of whom were holding still as statues, I took the glass from my head, gulped down the water without spilling a drop, then headed back to my quarters.
あいつ水飲んじまったぞバカなやつめあいつ一人で追加罰直者だ
Well, he did say if a single drop hits the ground. It didn't touch the ground, he just drank it.
いや待てこれって連帯責任じゃないのかどうせ罰を受けるならさっさと水を諦めて罰に備えて寝ちまった方が利口なのか
バカなあいつ一人の身勝手のために俺たち全員がまた罰直を食らうってのか
ありえるぞ俺らも飲んじまうか
やめとけよもしあいつが間違ってたらどうする気だ
貴様ら何をごちゃごちゃくっちゃべっとるかレンジャーん風見はどうしたどこへ行ったか
風見は自分たちが止める間もなく頭上の水を全部飲み干しさっさと居室に戻ってしまいましたレンジャー
なんだとあの野郎あのバカ野郎が何がおかしいのでありますかこれが笑わずにいられるか貴様らも笑え
Have to keep your eye on that one. Too clever for his own good. Kid's a bit of a flake. These were just a few of the rave reviews I'd earned from my instructors during my training period in Japan. But among the officers on that base, I do think Kuwahara was keeping a particularly close eye on me. A little later on, when everyone was going out for a nice picnic in the mountains, the two of us ending up having words.
くそ、また缶飯かよ。年度末になると飯がまずくなるのは特殊部隊も一緒なんすかね。
Is there anything at JoJo's Bizarre Adventure VA did this role? Possibly.
うまいもんが食いときゃ潜水艦にでも乗れよ。あいつらは俺たちの中じゃ一番いいもん食ってんぞ。
アメリカさんは何食ってんすかね。
見てみろよあいつ。いつも豆ばっか食ってやがる。
うまそうじゃないですか。
缶詰だぞ。あいつらの本国じゃ豚の餌って呼ばれてるらしい。
貴様らぐちゃぐちゃ喋っとらんでさっさと飯を食わんか古来より早がけ早飯早ぐそと言ってたな素早く飯を食うのも能力として評価されるものなのだ食える時に食わんやつはクズださっさと食え
Yep.
レンジャーそして風見よお前はなんて顔して飯を食ってやがるそれが飯を食う時の顔かまるで砂漠で砂を食ってるみたいな顔じゃないか
Sorry about that, sir.
まあいいそんなことよりこの機会に貴様に聞いておきたいことがある
What would that be?
おい貴様なんでこんなとこに来たんだ
I may be American capital, but I'm still part of this company. I'm obligated to participate in training.
そういうことを言ってるんじゃない俺が聞きたいのはなんでアメリカに拾われたんだってそう聞いてんだよ
Same as you or anyone here, sir. I didn't have anywhere else to go, and I wasn't cut out for any other line of work. That's all there is to it.
お前と一緒にしてほしくはないなお前はシャバで何かやらかしてそれで軍に放り込まれたんだろう何をやらかした正直に言え
I'm sorry, sir, but why do you need to know that?
別にお前に興味があるわけじゃないただなお前の存在を恐怖として受け止めてる奴がいるのも事実だお前がぶっ飛ばした武藤ってやつを覚えてるか
Yes.
あいつは陰で
お前のことを殺人鬼だと噂している。もう観光令でどうにかなる問題じゃない。俺は教官としてお前がどんなやつでどう対処すべきか考える義務がある。いいから教えろ。
I killed my father. And my mother.
そうか。
That was all Instructor Kuwahara said in reply. And after that day, he stopped aggressively finding fault with everything I did. Maybe he was out of sympathy. Maybe he was out of fear. Either way, it was convenient enough for me. I can't say I missed having an intimidating instructor breathing down my neck. Alright, finally back to JB and everything.
そんなことがあったんだ。知らなかったわ。
セーブしないんだからね。
もちろん当時の報告書は読んでいたし、桑原2位からの報告を読むと、あなたのこと相当に評価していたように思えるけど。
Oh, he probably did toward the end. Ah, well, you remember when I did my musical number? At the inn in Gifu, when we were field testing the new gear?
ああ、なんだっけ？大マカロフ？
Oh my god, not Daimaker. No! Right. After that incident, Instructor Kuwahara started to be a lot more accommodating toward me.
彼、あなたのことをかなり気に入ってたみたいね。教育課程が終了したら、このままうちの特作軍に預けろって何度も申し出てきたわ。
Yeah, I'm aware. I ran into him in the mess hall on my way over here, and he tried to recruit me again.
国内外を問わず、治安維持活動以外でも即応可能な最小戦闘単位。それがあなた、はい、9029なのよ。ちょっとよそには譲れないほどお金もかけちゃったしね。
Don't worry, I turned him down.
あなた自身が行きたいっていうのなら、時間はかかるけど、転属できないわけじゃないのよ。
That's alright. I'm fine with things as they are. Anyway, if I'd accepted Kuwahara-san's invitation back then, who knows what would have happened to Chizuru. Oh my god, are we gonna get into Chizuru's backstory now? A little bit of it? Of how she met Yuji and fled him into this school to begin with?
ああ、まあ確かに。
Alright, more of Chizuru is always good.
そういう意味では、あなたが SARS を選んだのは正解だったのかもね。
Well, I wasn't a formal member of SIRS at the time. Oh! The Vancouver International Airport terrorist hijacking. The origin of the affair lay in a security force's raid on the stronghold of an extremist group known as the Divine Textbook, launched by the DoD as part of an ongoing hardline policy against insurgents of all sorts. Following a violent firefight, the group's leader, one Arn Malik, had been captured and taken into custody. The Divine Textbook, founded in 1964, held Western education to be the root of all evil. They carried out a long campaign of anti-government resistance, funded largely through drug dealing and kidnap for ransom. And in recent years, they had launched a series of attacks on churches, police stations, and military facilities, punctuated by repeated shootouts with Homeland Security forces. Can this stop? The president, who had publicly committed to stamping out terrorist activity, ordered a thorough search and destroy operation. The resulting raid killed 65 members of the organization and robbed them of their leader. In response, the group had occupied Vancouver International Airport, from which Mr. Malik was scheduled to be extradited for trial. Using the website of a local newspaper, they'd posted demands for his release. Long story short, it was basically one of those, give us our boss back or we'll blow up a bunch of crap deals. Not so different from a fight between children, except in terms of scale. Of course, this was something of a problem for all the big shots who'd spent the last few years making grandiose promises about the elimination of terrorism. If they agreed to release Malik, their opponents would spin it as a violation of their public commitments. But if the commotion got out of hand, their competence would be called into question. Neither outcome seemed too appetizing. Not appeasing, appetizing, I'm an idiot. I'm not sure how the behind-the-scenes wrangling went, and I'm not particularly interested. But one way or another, they ended up appealing for assistance from the anti-terror forces of numerous allied nations, making the whole tangled mess even more complicated. Oh, finally.
アルヌマリクの解放と6000万ドル。テロ指導者の解放も無理なら身代金も法外だ。とてもじゃないが飲める要求じゃない。
しかしですね、空港施設に居合わせた約400人の人質の中には財界人や著名人、政府関係者やシンポジウムに参加していた学会関係者も多数います。
まあ西側の人間を標的にしているのは明らかでしょうな。
人質の拘束が始まってすでに6時間です。そろそろ体力的に限界を迎える人間も出る頃でしょう。身代金の交渉をしつつ、病人に老人や子供、それに女性の解放を逆要求するべきでは。
そんな交渉はもう4時間も前から行っていますよ。その結果が当初3000万ドルだった身代金が6000万ドルになった。
金の問題ではないということか。
そういうことです。無駄な交渉に時間がかかればかかるほど安全な国としてのカナダの信用が落ちていく。
We have that good reputation for a reason.
さっさとアルヌマリクを解放しろと、そういうことです。
バカバカしい。同じ話を何度繰り返す気だ、貴様ら。
Hi, Captain Garrett. What are you doing here?
代理人の方は発言を控えていただきたいですな。そもそも特殊部隊による突入は日本政府の強い要望で断念と決断されています。
こっちも遊びで来ているわけじゃない。人質の中にはアメリカ人も大勢含まれているんだ。不活に要求を飲まれて敵性国に亡命でもされてみろ。袋叩きにされるのは目に見えている。
大体ですね。何かといえばすぐに武力と内政干渉も考慮せずに拳を振り上げるだけの人間がこの場の会議に参加していること自体が。
日本大使館からの回答が出ました。条件付きで特殊部隊の介入を黙認するとのことです。
なんだと条件は
日本人を殺すなだろ。たったそれだけのことを決めるのに何時間使う気だ。
どうするつもりですか。
プランはとっくに提出してあるはずだ。あとは我々のやり方に任せてもらう。
Oh, so this is when she calls in Yuji. She decides to, cash in that little promise and ticket he said. If there's a job only I can do, give me a call, kind of thing. So that's why Yuji comes in, even though he's not technically an agent fully yet. But alright.
空港施設の破壊は極力避けていただけるんでしょうな。それと計画表には1300メートルの遠距離狙撃と記載されていますが、問題ないのですか。
何、簡単な話だ。要は自爆用の爆弾のスイッチを持っているやつを潰して、あとは強襲制圧すればいい。い
え、そういうことではなく、屋内や建物の屋上からの狙撃は犯行グループも当然警戒しています。屋外の、それも超長距離の狙撃ですよ。立地条件的にも常に強風が吹いていますし、今の時期は霧が多く発生します。とても狙撃できる環境じゃない。
世の中にはそれを最初の一発でぶち当てるやつがいる。私が知っているだけでも3人は心当たりがある。
Kusakabe Asako, possibly herself if she's being, cocky, and then Kazumi Yuji, right?
では、その3人の誰かに依頼を。
そうしたいところだが、1人は18年前に死んでる。もう1人は 右目の視力を失って体感。
Okay, so one's
最後
dead.
の一人も
So,
若干だが問題は
alright, the one that died 18 years ago, don't know who they are, doesn't matter. The one who retired, that's Asako, 100%. So now, it's just Yuji.
刑務所に入ってるとか。
まだジャパンアーミーアカデミーで後期訓練中だ。
自衛官だというのか。
いや、SARS の予備工作員だ。
予備学生を現場に出すのは問題があるのでは。アンチマテリオンの使用許可をいただければ、うちの狙撃班でもなんとか。
うちは例の電極銃問題以降オーバーキルに過敏でね。できればよその人間に任せたいところだが。
そのための外部協力でしょうよ。問題は確実に一発で仕留める必要があるということだ。大尉の言うその予備学生はやれるのかね。
それは私が保証しましょう。ただ日本から呼び寄せるとなればそれなりに金がかかる。
構わん。費用はうちが出す。今すぐ呼び寄せてくれ。
では失礼して電話を。私だ。私だ。アニエス・ギャレット大尉だ。ああ、挨拶はいい。貴様に頼みたい仕事がある。あのな、風見。私は一応貴様の上官だぞ。少しは態度に気を使えんのか。それと私をアニーと呼ぶな。
何やら面倒そうな相手ですな。
私は何かとんでもない選択ミスをしたんじゃないか。
Maybe.
それで来られるのか。なんだ、言ってみろ。なんだと。そんなバカな条件があるか。悪ふざけも大概にしろ。
相手は何と言ってきているのかね。
ジャイケル・マクソンの隣でバスケの試合が見たいからチケットを用意しろと言ってる。
ジャイケル・マクソン。
ジャイケルはもう死んだと教えてやれ。
Oh my god.
こいつは知ってて言ってるんだよ。いいから来い。今すぐ来い。10分後には現地の人間を迎えに出す。手荒に扱われたくなければ準備して待っていろ、バカ者め。口の悪いところまで師匠に似てきよって。くそ。
大丈夫なのですかね。
問題ない。
Oh my god. As always, Captain Garrett didn't have much of a sense of humor. I don't make a habit of refusing invitations from women, but being called halfway around the world with a single phone call? I knew I was a pawn, but this felt like a bit much. Judging from the way my ride showed up prematurely after 2 minutes instead of 10, and the fact that it was an MV-22 Osprey instead of a car, the situation seemed to be fairly urgent. Before I even had a chance to murmur a few admiring words about the tilt rotors, I was pushed into the aircraft, still holding my favorite rifle to my chest. And as soon as they strapped me in firmly to my seat, the details of the operation popped up on the ICS. Sorry. Sorry about that. Oh, where that came from. Whew. The Osprey immediately headed out to sea, traveling as far as it could, then landing on an aircraft carrier. There, I boarded a C-2 transport plane, which hopped over to an airport that served as one of NATO's air defense installations. As they were refueling us for the last leg of the journey, a large number of people with Special Forces patches on their uniforms climbed on board. I was used to this sort of atmosphere, but that didn't mean I wanted to make small talk. At times like these, pretending to be asleep was always the best move.
Hey, Shorty! 相変わらずのんきなやつだな。これから現場だったのに寝てやがる。
Daddy? Fucking Danny?
いやダニー、彼は寝てないよ。寝てるふりをしているだけでも疲れは取れるからね。そうだろ、ユーズリー。
And Robbie? Is Millie gonna be fucking here too? No, apparently not. Danny? Robbie? They called you two as well?
君が呼ばれたのなら僕も呼ばれるさ。僕はヤブ犬正体の頭脳だからね。
冗談じゃねえ。俺はカリフォルニアでよろしくやってたっつうのに突然呼び出した。仕事サボってドーナツ食ってるところを無理やり連行されたぜ。
What about the others?
ジェイ・ショイとエディは先に現地入りしている。ミリはまあ転化しちゃったから今回は不参加だよ。
She's probably taking up Yuji's suggestion of be a pilot. Switch to the Air Force, become a pilot. Something I can't do. But wait, we get more of Lieutenant J, and at least Eddie's still doing fine. That's good. She switched specialties.
知らなかったのかい？彼女航空団へ転属願いを出して先月からミラマーに行ってるよ。本当は君を追いかけて日本に行くためにズケラン勤務を希望したらしいけど、そう簡単にはいかないよね。そもそもバカ。
Eddie, I mean Robbie, fuck you.
そういうお前だってアキーバに憧れて日本勤務を希望したらしいじゃないか。
Oh, God.
僕は頭がいいからね。ちゃんと赤坂勤務になったさ。
は？What? You're in Japan now, Robbie?
日本とアメリカを行ったり来たりだけどね。最近は市ヶ谷の地下で仕事してるよ。
No. No, don't tell me he's the one wanting all this information from the interview. We're going through all this because the professor down in the basement wants it all. It better not be fucking Robbie. Why didn't you say anything? We could have met up.
諜報一課の仕事だからね。簡単には外と連絡が取れないのさ。
Yeah, there's a pretty thick wall between them and Sirs, from what I hear.
そういうこと。
日本っていや、俺の妹も日本の大学に行きたいとか抜かしてやがる。どいつもこいつも日本ってそんなにいい国なのか？
That's kind of a tough question, but on the whole, I guess it's not bad.
いいかい？驚くなよ、ダニー。日本の街にはそこら中にコンビニと自動販売機がある。もうそれだけで治安の良さはわかるんじゃないか？
昔からティッシュとコンドームが丈夫な国は豊かでいい国だって言うけどよ。俺もそのうち行ってみるかな。
What the fuck kind of metric is that?
おっと、J 少尉からの最新情報だ。状況に変化あり。どうやら人質の中に糖尿病患者がいたらしくて、僕らの到着を待っている余裕がなくなったみたいだね。現時刻より17分前に空港警察の狙撃犯によって犯行グループのリーダーを射殺。
Well, what's the point then?
同時に突入犯による突入を開始。同犯により施設内の一部制圧に成功。一部を除き人質の救出に成功。現在は施設内に設置された爆発物の撤去作業中だってさ。
But
なんだよ、俺らが行く前に終わっちまったのかよ。つか俺ら何しに来たんだよ。
いや、ここでアペンドミッションだ。
Oh. Sorry, itchy back.
突入を回避したテロリストの一部が人質を一人連れて逃走。エプロンに待機中だったビジネスジェットを占拠して立てこもりを始めたらしい。
That's where Chizuru's gonna be, isn't it?
かあ、捕まってんじゃねえよ。どんくせえ野郎だな。
野郎じゃないよ。逃走したテロリストの手の内に落ちた人質は1名。性別は女性。年齢は不明だけど中学生と推測されるってさ。名前は現在調査中だって。
参ったな。ガキを人質にされるとうかつに手は出せないぞ。
と我らが麗しのギャレット隊から入電。読むかい？
We have no choice. Please.
初アニエス・ギャレット隊。あてケイザミー・ユーズリー。今すぐ来い、とっとと来い、貴様が必要だ。以上原文まま。
随分と焦ってるな。
状況が変わったみたいだね。立てこもった犯人は3名。狙撃を警戒しているから近寄れない。滑走路の端っこから無線で要求を伝えてきているらしい。
What do they want?
燃料とパイロットだね。犯人の中には操縦できるやつが一人もいないらしい。それと北までの燃料を要求してる。
Is the plan to have Yuji pretend to be a pilot, walk on board, and then take care of all three of them?
ネゴシエーターを通じてパイロットと人質を交換する提案が出されているから、人質救出のチャンスはそのタイミングの一度きり。遮蔽物のない滑走路だし、射距離は2000に近い。
Oh, still sniping. 2000? That's not gonna work. Even with special ammo and perfect conditions, 1600 is as good as it gets. Given the weather there, it's more like 800.
近すぎれば犯人に見つかる。遠すぎれば当たらない。そんな状況で与えられたオーダーは救出だ。人質は必ず殺さずに救い出せとさ。
人質は一人なんだろう。殺しちまったら手札がなくなるのは向こうだ。走行車両で近づいて一気に制圧しちまえばいいんじゃないか。
これは未確認の情報だけど、どうやら人質になっている中学生は西側の重要人物に関係する縁者らしい。死なせると面倒だよ。
I'm not saying it's impossible, but we don't have the right equipment or anything else prepared. When you can't walk around the site beforehand and look it over from multiple angles, it's damn hard to finish the job on the first shot. When you're sniping under disadvantaged conditions like fog or darkness, whether or not you've seen the site with your own two eyes makes a huge difference in your ability to correct by feel. Even with spotters feeding you the precise range, your sense of distance is always going to be a little off. In most cases, the first shot ends up landing short of the target. All you can do is to try and compensate from experience. But that really only gets you so far. The training I'd received in the military was less focused on never missing and more on recovering after the initial miss.
機材に関しては問題ないよ。ミリーが点火するときにもう使わないからって置いていったシェイタが現地に用意してあるって J 少尉から連絡が来てる。
The fuck is Cheetah? Cheetah? It's an anti-material. Jesus! And we're gonna use that on people. Guys, that's the shit they use on like tanks and crap. That's armor-piercing shit. It's supposed to go through, thick sheets of metal armor to get the people inside, and we're just gonna use that on people. There's not gonna be a person left if you're hit with that shit.
生き物を撃つのが苦手なお前にはちょうどいいじゃねえか。
Gonna turn that sucker into paste. Damn straight. So hey Gardontar, how you doing, buddy? It's not really that simple.
当然弾も弾頭に二硫化タングステンを精密ショットピーニング処理したものを用意してある。
Guess it all comes down to skill and luck then. Even Kusakabe Asako herself was said to have an effective range of 1600 meters. Given the same equipment and presented with the same conditions, I couldn't produce results equivalent to hers. I just wasn't as good as her yet. For one thing, her powers of concentration were superior to mine. For another, she had years and years more experience. In the first place, while Asuko had taught me the fundamentals and lectured me on the sniper's mindset, she'd never given me any advanced training. In the words of the woman herself, I spent 10 years getting myself to this level. It ain't the sort of thing you can figure out from a couple of words of advice. Once you're past a certain skill level, the only way to improve is by picking up the tricks through sheer experience. Not exactly helpful. It was frustrating to know that Asuko could do things I couldn't. For a while there, I tried imitating her in every possible way. But eventually, I realized there was no way I'd ever catch up using that method. By the time I got to where she'd been, Asuko had already improved even further. After that, I started testing out my own methods, trying to find a technique that Asuko wouldn't be able to manage. Fundamentally, Asuko's sniping relied on her incredible vision and her instincts, honed through years of experience. My eyesight was just as good as hers, and the difference in experience was hopelessly massive. And so, the method I came up with was based instead on vision and visualization.
Boomerang, 聞こえているか?
Boomerang? Yeah, loud and clear. Haven't heard you call me that for a while, Lieutenant. Really brings me back.
状況はどうだ? 風は見えているか?
Forget the wind. I can't see anything but fog. My visibility is less than 10 meters.
管制塔の明かりが見えるな。そこから約12度左に標的が位置している。
I can't see anything except a vague shape. When I stared as hard as I could into the gloom, I could sense something in the darkness where my gun was pointing. But for all I knew, it was nothing more than a visual illusion produced by wishful thinking on my part. When I held my right eye to the scope, all I saw was a field of pure white. Visibility really was essentially zero. God damn. Well, clearly he pulls it off because Chizuru is still around, and again, presumably she's the one that was, you know, taken hostage. Every once in a while, the wind would part the curtains slightly, giving me brief glimpses of a white object of some sort. But an instant later, the fog would swallow it up again. After staring into the scope long enough, the constant lateral movement of the fog started to make me feel like I was gliding back and forth myself. How the hell am I supposed to hit anything under these conditions? Damn it, my eyes are spinning.
霧が晴れるのを待ってはいられない。今、ネゴシエーターが引き延ばし交渉をしているが、そう長い時間は稼げないだろう。10分後には給油と人質交換が始まる。やれるか、風見。
Nope, not a chance. Can I go home now?
弱気だな、風見。よし、ギャレット隊員に叱ってもらおう。
Possible headphone warning. So, volume, guys, might be very loud if Garrett's gonna start screaming in our ears. Wait. Come on, no.
聞け、風見。軍人に無理なんて言葉はない。軍人にやってやれんことなどないのだ。貴様わざわざ日本から呼び寄せた私の顔に泥を塗る気か。
I'd rather cover it with something else, Annie. Only a joke, Captain Garrett.
守備よく任務に成功したら好きなものを塗らせてやる。とにかくやれ。貴様の価値を高く評価している私を裏切るなよ。
Alright, we give Captain Garrett a facial after this. Nice. Aye, ma'am. Somehow, I'd obtained permission to smear anything I wanted on a pompous officer's face. In the military, a bit of whining can pay off once in a while. That said, sorry it didn't work out. Wasn't gonna cut it at this point. A blindfolded shot and an invisible target, huh? It's not like I'd never done it before. On Asuko's mountain, I'd given myself similar challenges several times during my morning rifle games. And during night combat, I'd often had to fire into the darkness, relying on the momentary light of muzzle flashes to locate my enemies. It never affected my accuracy. Most first-rate snipers aren't reliant on their scopes. Just like my master, they can hit their targets based solely on instinct and experience. For them, the scope is nothing but a supplementary tool, allowing them to visualize their shot with greater clarity. There's something other than simple vision at work there. They're seeing with their mind's eye more than anything else. For me, that meant concentrating until I could see colors in the air. A method reliant on visualization, compensating for my lack of experience. Okay. He's coming into his own here. He's figuring out how he can be a better sniper. But this is a hell of a time to do it, man. Now when there's a literal life on the line. I'd gotten the idea from my sister's photographic reading. When Kazuki concentrated, she was capable of rapidly memorizing books as a series of images in her mind, and by any color information would usually be lost. Okay, but any color information would usually be lost. However, when she concentrated even more intently, she was capable of discerning colors as well. I guess I'd compare it to those optical illusions that used to be popular. The ones where you'd stare at a monochrome pattern until a full-color image emerged. If you convince yourself that what you're looking at, convince yourself that you're looking at something, your eyes will start to see it. With enough concentration, even the wind can take on a visible color. Think of an enemy as a pig, and they'd all look like a pig. Think of them as a bear, and they'd look like a bear. Conveniently enough, that's just the way my mind worked. Yep. Loud and clear. It's already running. What bush dog icon? It's not there. Wait. Are you talking about this icon of a girl with dog ears on her head? Of course he made it a bush dog emoto. You really need to get that illness of yours treated.
僕の個人的な趣味はさておき、今君が立ち上げたアプリケーションは僕が作ったデジタルスポッター、下平平ちゃんのバージョン 4.02 だ。
No! This motherfucker did not make an Emoto AI sniper spotter. Please, no!
と言っても、対地音響センサータブレットの制御プログラムを改造したものだけれどね。各所に配置したセンサーから風速や大気密度なんかの気象情報を集め、ついでに地磁気やコリオリなんかも衛星とリンクして計算してくれる優れもの。見えないのなら見ないで撃てばいい。飛行機の景気飛行みたいなものさ。言ってみれば景気射撃ってやつだね。
Okay, he didn't actually make an AI emoto to help snipe.
あとは計算で出た数字を見ながら想像して、ミリーのチェイタを信じて引き金を引くだけだ。
Well, I'll give it a shot.
じゃあ最後に手順の確認だ。人質の交換が始まった時点で射撃規制が解除される。一番槍は君だ。君の第一射で犯人を無力化と同時にダニーが率いる制圧部隊が高機動車で吸収。部隊突入後はこちらに任せてくれればいい。大切なのは絶対に外さないことだ。人質を一切傷つけることなく確実に無力化してくれれば、あとは全部こちらでやる。いいかい？
Got it. Just let me concentrate for a while.
射撃規制解除は5分後だ。幸運を。
Slowly, deliberately, I pushed the air from my lungs. They'd given me 2 of those special bullets. I loaded them into the chamber one at a time, careful not to damage their coated tips. The gun felt a little different from my usual rifle. Fortunately, this wasn't my first time holding Cheetah. Millie had let me borrow him 3 times before. It wasn't a problem. Unlike his owner, he was a straightforward guy without any odd quirks. Don't wonder if you're going to hit the target. Don't think about the possibility of failure. No matter how carefully you aim, you'll end up missing every time if you do. There's only one question worth asking yourself at times like these. Am I actually calm right now? This is actually a little tense. In the Navy, the traditional trick is to check the time. Glance down at your watch. Check the current hour, minute, and second. If you can tell what time it is, that's proof you're calm. It's something our instructors taught us. You might think that sounds awfully simple. But when you're on an actual battlefield with bullets flying back and forth, it can really be surprisingly challenging to read the time. With an analog watch, you won't be able to tell the difference between the hour hand and the minute hand. And if it's a digital model, you won't be able to recognize the segmented numbers on the screen for what they represent. When your head's too full of other thoughts, even the simplest tasks become impossible. I glanced down at my wrist and checked my watch display. The time was 14:32:14. The hold fire order was probably going to be lifted in less than 3 minutes. Still, I could read the time just fine. It was going to be all right. I closed my eyes and took another deep breath. And then, holding my finger to the trigger to remind myself of what it felt like, I began to focus on the task at hand. Consciously steadying the rhythm of my breathing, I peered through my scope. The only thing visible was pure white fog, flowing past like spilled milk trickling across a table. All I needed was a glimpse. A fraction of a second would be enough. I wouldn't forget what I saw. I'd record it in my mind and then burn that image into my eyes. Is that Oh my god, Chizuru's adorable. Guys, I like Chizuru a lot still. There it was. No problem. It was only a glimpse, but I captured it perfectly. This wasn't any different from fighting at night, using brief bursts of light to spot the enemy. I just had to approach it the same way. Convince yourself they're visible, and you'll start to see the colors. It's pure visualization. The more you concentrate, the clearer the image becomes. It's fine. I could see him. More importantly, when were they going to let me shoot? Sooner or later, this image of mine was going to dissolve back into mist.
射撃規制解除繰り返す射撃規制解除貴様のタイミングでいつでもやれブーメラン
About time. Aiming at the image I'd formed in my mind, I pulled the trigger. The firing pin smacked into the case, detonating the primer. Propelled forward by exploding gunpowder, the bullet burst out of the rifled barrel, spinning rapidly as it went. I couldn't follow it with my eyes, of course. But even so, by the time my mentally colored image faded back to monochrome, the shot I'd fired reached its target. Holy shit! Bang.
狙撃兵による着弾を確認着弾を確認 A 班 B 班 C 班各班突入を開始突入を開始せよ
Crap. I didn't hit the hostage, did I?
よくやったブーメラン今そちらに迎えを回す
Tell them to bring a barf bag, will ya? I think I'm gonna hurl.
くだらん冗談をほざいてる余裕があるなら大丈夫だ戻ってこいブーメラン
They say the bullets you fire on the battlefield will come flying right back at you someday. But for the moment, I'm still alive. Guess I'm lucky that way. In the chaotic minutes that followed, the assault by our suppression team ended up getting badly out of sync with the airport police. As the hostage sat on the ground in a daze, one of the surviving terrorists managed to grab her. Then make a run for a high-speed boat moored at the nearby pier.
そこでこの俺様の登場ってわけよ。 人質を抱えたままボヤイ綱を解こうとしている犯人に向かって渾身のタックル。ダーン、うわーってな。
You, probably shouldn't have knocked the hostage into the sea with him.
だっておめえ、銃とか使って人質に当たったらシャレになんねえだろ。どうせ相手は丸腰だしな、タックルすんのが一番早いだろうが。どうよ、この俺の起点。お前にも見せてやりたかったぜ、俺の勇姿。
Oh my god, Danny. Well, I saw the whole thing, but... By the time I ran over to help, the terrorist who tried to escape was already in custody, and the middle school hostage who'd fallen into the sea was thrashing around in the water.
Hey, ショーティー、見ろよ、面白いぜ。つか、この中学生、さっきから何を叫んでるんだ。
Wait, how fucking old is Chizuru? Around 30. What? Sorry, I get to hear Chizuru just constantly splashing about, I guess. Alright, let's just continue. Keep going, they'll explain it soon? Okay. Sounds like she can't swim.
Nagi? どうしてそれを早く言わねえんだよ。
I think she's been screaming for a while, actually.
あ、だって俺、日本語わかんねえもんよ。
Come on, stop poking her with the oar. Sure, you don't want to help. We went through a lot of trouble saving the kid, but at this rate, she's gonna drown.
そらマジな。とりあえず、なんか日本語で声かけてやれよ、ショーティ。
Hey! You have any last words? This might be bad, Danny. If you decide that was child abuse, you can get court-martialed.
なに、結局は俺が助けてやったんだから、問題ねえだろ。
I really doubt it works that way.
冗談じゃありませんよ。
Okay. Okay, Chizuru looks great. Whoops. The young miss does indeed appear to be a bit upset. What do we do, Danny?
助けていただいたことには深く感謝をします。ですが、もう少しマシな方法もあったのではないでしょうかと。私はここに異議を申し立てるものです。返り血を浴びたり、海に突き落とされたり、助けを求めても指さしてゲラゲラ笑ってたり。牛に桟橋に近づこうとすればボートのオールで頭をこづかれたり。散々ですよ。訴えてやります。
おい、ショーティー。さっきからこのお嬢ちゃんは何を怒ってるんだ？
Dunno. Sounds like she didn't appreciate the roughness of our rescue.
生き残っておいて文句を言うとは平和で贅沢な話だな。まあそうカッカするなよ、お嬢ちゃん。ガム食うか。日本人はガム好きだろ。
Come on, Danny. Japanese middle schoolers don't swarm GIs for candy these days. It's not 1946 anymore.
私、中学生じゃないです。
Oh! Oh! Apparently, Chizuru took exception to my 6'3" comrade patting her on the head and offering her sugarless chewing gum. She responded by pulling a wallet from her pocket and showing us the driver's license within it. Hey, Danny, take a look at this. A Japanese driver's license. This lady was born in the Showa era. When did that end? Okay, like 1989 was the last year of the Showa era. So she's yeah, she was born she's born in the 80s. Oh my god. It's the she's in her fucking 20s. She's in her fucking 20s right now, but looks like a middle schooler. What the fuck? But what middle schooler has never mind. Everyone grows differently.
Showa?
Sorry, it's a Japanese thing. Means before 1989, basically.
は？つうことは何か？このお嬢ちゃんは24歳なのか？
Yeah, I guess she would be.
おい、冗談なんだろ？勘弁してくれよ、翔太。この子に比べりゃ、今年小学校に上がったエディの姪っ子の方がまだ大人びて見えるぞ。日本人ってのは本当に幼く見えるんだな。
Well, I think this one's kind of a special case, actually.
だからこれって言いながら頭をポンポンしないでください。
Oh, Chizuru.
私は先生なんですよ。学園長なんですよ。もう許しませんよ。
Man, her 20s is so cute. She's a principal in their 20s already. God damn. But yeah, definitely cute. Chizuru, top tier. Top tier, just immediate. She's always been top tier. I wish she had a route. I demand Chizuru route. I demand it.
面白い。俺の実家の近所にこんな風にキャンキャン吠える犬飼ってるばあさんがいるぜ。
Good fucking god.
セーブしないんだからね。
Alright, how far into the game are
シ
we
ナリ
now?
オ進行度の確認なんてしないんだからね。
80% of the way done. We're nearly there. There's a fifth of Yuji's past to go. We're getting pretty damn close, actually. I feel like this is probably going to cover him officially becoming 9029 and Asuko's death before he goes on to, you know, go and be part of Mihama Academy. That's 100% what this last 20% has got to be. It's the last of his training, officially taking over Asuko's position, and Asuko dying. And then we can start the after stories. We're close. With that said, though, I did save. I am going to call it here for today. I'm going to call it there. That's more than enough. That's about 3 hours or so. Trying to go any further is just kind of, I'd have to end on a really weird note. That felt like a good spot to end it off. My god. So there, now we know how they met. Now we know how Chizuru and Yuji met, and it wasn't the best thing ever. He did save her life in not the best way. It was something. Saved her life, regardless. Oh, alrighty. So, I gotta just upload my... Well, I gotta resource the new schedule for next week. There we go. And... So... As tomorrow starts the last week of January, and technically also the first week of February, but don't worry about it. we will be into Variety Week, February's Variety Week. What do I got planned this time? Well, I have it all right up here for you guys. So, starting off tomorrow, actually, at 10 o'clock, will be Donut County. This is a game I kind of got somewhat recently, and at least from what Brozard said, it should take about maybe 4 hours at most to finish it, if I really want to finish it. So, Donut County is the first game of our Variety Week. Monday, I'll be taking off because work is just a lame closing shift. Tuesday at 6, we'll be trying out Hollow Parade. It's another Hololive fan game, so why not give it a shot? I think it's like a tower defense style-ish game. So we'll give that a shot, see how it goes. Wednesday will just be more Power Wash Sim. I'll go back to the, finish off the SpongeBob DLC, more than likely. Or I'll just do more of the main story. I might just do more of the main story, maybe save the SpongeBob DLC for later. I'll figure that out when I get to it. Thursday, also at 6, starting off our month of February, we have a Gunpla and Chill stream. I have one sitting at the post office right now, which we'll pick up probably, like, you know, in the middle of the week beforehand. So I'll have that ready, so get ready for some Gunpla and Chill. Friday at 10, we'll go back to some more of Valhalla, because I've been really liking that game, and I want to continue playing it. I've really been liking it. I want to play more of that game, but I don't want to play it off stream. I want to play this stuff with you guys, because it's entertaining. And then I'll be taking the Saturday off, just to mostly give myself days off. I want to try at least having 2 days off from stream, if I can. That's kind of my goal. Have at least 2 days off from streaming. Other than that... I don't really have much. Yeah, I don't really have much else going on right now. Oh. Yeah, let me take this away. I'll probably also, because I have the schedule now, maybe work on my schedule for next week as well, the week after Variety Week. I'm probably gonna do kind of a week mixed with 2 games again, kind of thing. So I'm thinking the first one will be like, Gundam, SD Gundam G Generation Genesis, to try to finish off the storyline we started, maybe start another one. Maybe mixed in with something like more Batman Arkham or something. We'll see. Actually, I do have... I finally found a thing online that said how many missions each section of G-Gen Genesis has, which is really goddamn helpful. So after we finish off the one we were on, Blaze Beyond Space or whatever it's called, I can't remember. The next one will have 5 missions total. That's fun. So we have 1 from the one we're currently on. Then we have 5 more, so that's 6. The one after that has 2 more, so 8. After that is another 4, so 12. And then 4 again, 16. Finally ending off with Unicorn 6. So we have, goddamn, a good 22 more stages to go. 22 more potential G-Generation Genesis streams. But it might be, less. We'll see. More than likely it'll be less. Some might be really fast. Alrighty. So, I'm actually going to send this off on a raid. Everyone that's here right now... Wrong command. I'm going to send us off on a raid to Katybug. Right now, she's doing a 12-hour stream. Yeah, I think she's part of like a little mini subathon I believe she has going right now, but a 12-hour stream. She started about 3 hours ago, so about the same time we started. And she's got many more to go, so we're gonna give her some love. She's come around the channel a few times. And I do enjoy lurking in her streams quite a bit, when I can. So, thank you everyone for watching, commenting, and lurking. I appreciate it very, very much. Again, next time you guys are going to see me is tomorrow at 10 for some Donut County as part of Variety Week. So I hope everybody has themselves a great rest of their day, and let's send some love off to Katybug.